Welcome to a very special episode, FFPC Live Best Ball Tournament Draft Coverage. I am Eric Balkman, the host of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour and the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown, here with you tonight to bring you some live best ball coverage. As a reminder, the draft or the league that we're covering tonight is part of the FFPC Best Ball Tournament. $125 entry fee, a $200,000 grand prize at stake. This is over $1 million in the prize pool as well. We're covering this draft for the entirety. This is a FFPC Best Ball Slim format, so no kickers, no defenses in this format, and everybody will be buying for the $200,000. Now, I'm going to bring on my co-host who's actually drafting in this tonight. You know him on Twitter at Dave Terp, and I'm going to bring him on right now because, quite frankly, Dave, I should have known there. I should have asked you this beforehand. Is your last name Dave Terpoilli or Terpoilli?
Terpoilli. You got the second time.
Terpoilli. So
you
Dave
can just stick with Terp.
Okay, so Terp, welcome in to making his debut. And actually, this is the first time we've ever done this type of show.
We have the first of many, hopefully.
The first of many. That's the plan. So I'm going to bring up your draft board here. You are picking seventh in this draft. So you are actually on the clock right now. 3 running backs off the board, 3 receivers. What are you thinking here to start off your draft to try to win this $200,000?
Most people are going to think this is going to be a Travis Kelce pick. I am not that kind of guy. I'm a wait when it comes to tight ends. I'm not as high as on Kelce as most people are, even with the FFPC 1.5 point per reception. I think this pick will be Dalvin Cook. It really would be Dalvin Cook or Stephon Diggs. I like throwing Mark Andrews up here because people know how much I like him, but we're going to make the pick, and it's going to be Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook, and this is about where he goes. Well, I shouldn't say that. And we're going to shout out to Darren Armani at Fantasy Mojo on Twitter, fantasymojo.com. All the ADP data I'm bringing up tonight will be from his website. Dalvin Cook in this normally has an ADP of 111 over the last 7 days in this best ball tournament. Now, I guess the question, or the philosophical question here, Dave, when you're going for $200,000, you kind of you have to know what ADP is, but you can't really go by it because you want a unique roster here.
To me, it means absolutely nothing, especially in a tournament like this. I mean, you're trying to differentiate yourself a little bit. First couple rounds is going to be what the first couple rounds are. You're just trying to avoid the landmines. But I am not an ADP drafter. You'll see some.
But you're cognizant of it, right?
I'm definitely. I'm not going to reach like something crazy. Like you're not going to see a Devonta Smith second round pick from me, even though I'm an Eagles fan. But you're going to see some reaches when it comes on guys that I like because it's all about construction of your roster, how you're building the team, and pretty much putting yourself in the best position because winning your league's great, but you don't enter these contests for to win your league. You're winning to win the $200,000 first prize.
When you are drafting tight ends in this format, do you normally take them a little bit earlier? Like if you're drafting in the main event or football guys where you have to stick a specific tight end in there every week, but now with best ball, do you kind of not focus on that as much?
Never, actually. You won't probably see me take a tight end for a while. I know I'm kind of giving away something on the stream, but I don't see the value in these top 5 guys. I mean, I will do a bunch of these, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I won't take them in some of these. But overall, it's not my mentality to draft tight end early just because there's just so many quality tight ends later that you could pick up in this format to take advantage of.
No real surprises here, I guess. I mean, Kelce normally goes at the 106. He falls till the 109 here. Najee Harris fell a little bit. Normally at the 108. He goes at the 110, so not really much of a surprise there. We have the 2 tight ends go off in the first round. When you are mapping this, when you found out you had the 7 pick, Dave, did you have kind of thoughts of what your roster construction would probably look like the first few rounds, or is it just a matter of what everybody else is doing?
It's a matter of just like a wait and see type of thing with me. I don't like looking too far ahead because you get yourself into trapping when it's, for instance, like Justin Jefferson. Obviously, I would have took him at 7 if he would have been there, but I don't base everything off a certain tier ranking or anything like that. I try to build each team different and just see how the draft falls out and let it play out like that. And now we are on the clock, and this pick is extremely easy. But I'll let it sit out for a little bit. I mean, the couple guys I would consider here, Aaron Jones, Debo Samuel is not for me. Leonard Fournette, Saquon Barkley is definitely in consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Evans, definitely. I usually try to stay away from the 2 running back start if I don't have to. But Aaron Jones, to me, the upside's too much. I mean, as a Packer fan that you are, they don't have anybody that can catch the ball this year. And to me, Aaron Jones, the ceiling is running back number 1 overall player number 1. So this pick is pretty easy for me.
Has he been a target for you in the second round quite a bit?
Yes. I mean, he early on, especially since they added nobody in the draft. I mean, you can say Christian Watson, and I'm a fan of him, but this year it's really hard to say what he's going to do. I mean, they added nothing at receiver that was really substantial. If you count Sammy Watkins,
I don't
say Sammy Watkins is a bum. Everybody thinks Sammy Watkins is a bum, but week 1 he might be a good player because he's always good for 1 week. It's just figuring out which week that is.
Well, it's got to be out. First, they got to get him through training camp healthy, which is
that's the first thing. But I mean, the opportunity is there for him.
And I've said this, the last several months is every time Devontae Adams has missed time for the Packers, Aaron Jones has caught a ton of passes, and I can't imagine that's all of a sudden going to change this year. So thus far, you are the only team to start off running back as we move through. We are now at the 209. Now, 2 guys that you had mentioned went right after Aaron Jones after you made him your second round selection, Saquon Barkley and Debo Samuel. You said Debo Samuel is not for you. Can you kind of elaborate why you don't like Samuel? Is it
just too many questions? There's just too many questions surrounding.
So this isn't a format thing for Samuel. You just don't.
No, I mean, I've drafted probably over 100 times so far, and I might have 2-3 shares of Debo Samuel. With the guys that are going around them, which you'll see obviously right now with Kamara, Barkley, Fournette. This format is obviously different because you're obviously trying to win the whole thing. But without Jimmy G, I just think Debo is going to be a different guy. He's not happy. Obviously, you don't know that right now. He'll eventually get his money. But there's just too many questions surrounding the whole Trey Lance, Jimmy G thing. And I'm out on Debo this year.
Do you in this best ball slate, do you normally find yourself drafting heavy running backs early, or is this just kind of how it worked out?
This is kind of how it worked out. But I just said wow because that's the first time in a while that I saw Travis Etienne go.
Yeah.
And I'm sky high on him. I think he has top 3 upside running back wise. But that's rich, especially if you all the drafts we've done early. It's really hard to take him there when you're getting 5th, 6th round shares of him. Wow.
And so would you we'll talk about Travis Etienne now. Like when you had drafted him in the 5th and 6th round earlier in the season, is that kind of it now for you for Travis Etienne for the rest of
until main event season? I mean,
right.
I'll be in a bunch of main events to where I don't see there being any way that he doesn't make on a bunch of my teams. I mean, he's just too talented, and if I had to list one of my top 5 guys overall, he'd be in the top 5, if not number 1.
And it's wild because Etienne has an ADP in this format over the last week of the 308. So if you look at who took him, Team 11 here in the second round could have waited until the 302, and then I guess you can make a case for it. Well, he's not making it back to the end of the
You
4th.
do know who's drafted number 2, right? I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. So I didn't know. Should we reveal that? Because I'm hiding all the names.
I don't think he cares. Some of these guys might care, but I don't think he cares.
All right. So we'll just announce it. You follow him on Twitter at SportBettingMan. It is Lance Turvis who is picking second tonight. And Lance, I have commissioned many of his drafts in the Football Guys Players Championship over the years. And I remember I was doing one with Dave Gerzak next to me one night, and Lance said he ingested some stuff to make him feel pretty good. And,
Lance is my guy. I love Lance.
And I'm telling you, all the rookies I saw him draft, it was like one of the first Football Guys drafts of the year. And he drafted so many rookies that night. It was insane. It was Brandon Cooks' rookie year, and he took him in like the 3rd round or something. It was something to see. So tonight he gets with, another rookie in ETN, and then he gets Breece Hall, who is going off the board here at the 302. 3 more running backs in the 3rd round. It's back to you, Terp, for your 3rd round pick. Who you're looking at here to follow up with Cook and Jones?
To me, I had 2 guys in the queue. It was either Pittman or Higgins. I mean, other guys that I would consider here on a different day, Jalen Waddle, none of the tight ends. I mean, some people would consider Waller or Kittle. They're not for me. Running back wise, I already started the way I did, so I'm not going to push any of these guys up. I don't think any of them fit this value. So to me, T. Higgins is relatively simple, and the upside's still there even with Chase. So T. Higgins will be the pick.
Yeah, T. Higgins, this is about where he goes, a little bit of value that you get with T. Higgins there. But when I look at him versus Chase, I mean, I'm looking at Jamar Chase going in the middle of the 1st round and then T. Higgins going 2 full rounds later. Now, you could say that Chase is the better player and Chase is going to put up better numbers.
Of course.
But 2 full rounds, I mean, that's
it's a big jump. I mean,
yeah.
I'm a Chase guy. Chase is a talent, but I mean, these guys are very, very similar, and they're both going to get – nobody's going to get – double coverage. So
right.
To get Higgins here is, to me, like you said, a real solid value and not one I plan on passing up.
Now, you mentioned that Kittle wasn't for you either. Are you just down on the 49ers in general this year?
I mean, I've never been a Kittle guy. I think he's extreme talent, but I feel like he's injured all the time.
Okay.
And there's just too much he has them boom games, but in this type of format where if I draft Kittle, I'm probably only drafting one other tight end, it's a risky proposition because you just don't know what you're going to get from him every week. And with Trey Lance, he's probably the biggest wild card right now in fantasy football, in my opinion, because he has right below Josh Allen upside, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or he might not even start.
It's like the highest ceiling and the lowest floor, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, there's a path when Jimmy G comes back, Trey Lance struggles in training camp, and he's just a starter. And Debo cries, or Kyle Shanahan obviously is not sold on Lance. And I see the path, especially if Jimmy G doesn't get traded soon. I don't know. It's definitely a worry. I like Trey Lance in best ball formats. Season long, it's tough because when the main event rolls around, I just feel like there's more safer with the same upside options. He could easily be not the starter week 1, or he could easily be right behind Josh Allen.
Do you find yourself when you go in a best ball tournament format like this one, you start off running back, do you still like to have that anchor receiver type, T. Higgins guy there? Or are you more likely to, in some of these cases, just fill in the receivers later and not necessarily worry about like a top 10, top 12 guy?
No, I mean, they're definitely important. I definitely wouldn't you don't want to get stuck in this format without receivers, because I don't think you can win without it. That was a nice Josh Allen pick with Diggs. It's a good stack.
The stacking has begun.
Stacking has begun. You definitely don't want to get caught in this format without receivers. Running backs are obviously important, but let's see. We're on the clock. So
we have in this round, Darren Waller, Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, and George Kittle are the first 4 picks off the board here, followed by David Montgomery. So you are up, Terp. It looks like we have 17 receivers off the board, 5 tight ends off the board, 1 quarterback, and 18 running backs off the board. You already have 2 running backs and a receiver. How are you looking to fill in the 4th round?
So this relatively will be a receiver. There's a couple options on the board. DJ Moore is probably the leader in the clubhouse as of right this second. Deontay Johnson, I like. Do I love him? It's hard to say because you don't know who's going to be a starter there. DK Metcalf is not for me. DJ Moore will be the pick. I'm hoping they deal for Baker Mayfield very soon, because I think that offense with Baker Mayfield will be so much better than it is with the direct they have right now, because Sam Darnold's a bum and Matt Corral just isn't ready yet. So and I'm a Baker guy. People give Baker a lot of crap for what he did in Cleveland, but I just feel like if they add him they're the second best team in that division, and that includes the Saints.
It is more a better pick for this format than Deontay
100%.
Johnson here. Okay,
100% in my opinion. He's a guy that could put up a 40 burger easy. Do I think Deontay Johnson can do that? He's probably more of a consistent guy. What the best ball guys like to call floor, I guess. I mean, DJ Moore to me he's a guy that can win you $200,000. I don't know if Deontay Johnson can do that. I don't hate Deontay Johnson, but
right. I
just feel like there's too much questions right now. I mean, they added Pickens, Claypool's still there, and you really just don't know who's playing quarterback. And Najee Harris is still going to get plenty of dump balls.
When you are picking these receivers here early on, are you picking them with the intention of like, now do you scratch down Joe Burrow's name in the table? Do you write down, Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield late, like to match up with these guys? Or
Joe Burrow, yes.
Okay.
Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Probably Baker Mayfield, definitely not Sam Darnold.
Okay.
DJ Moore will be a by himself type of guy, unless like things go a little haywire at the quarterback position, which they can in these drafts, because I think you're going to see a little running back run, which is starting right now. I'll never get the Ezekiel Elliott pick. I mean, he's just not for me. He'll never be for me.
Is Tony Pollard for you?
Tony Pollard's always for me. I love that guy.
All right.
I've been Tony Pollard forever. Tony Pollard would probably be right behind Christian McCaffrey in this draft if Elliott didn't exist. He's that good. Dallas is just Dallas. I mean, they paid Elliott like the idiots that they are. Now they're stuck with him.
Yeah.
They just don't realize Pollard's just better. Jeez, 4 running back start for Lance. He must be on some. He must be on some stuff tonight.
I would imagine he is. And not just him, but you look at team 3 with 3 running backs, team 4 with 3 running backs. In fact, those teams 2, 3, and 4 are the only squads so far through 4 rounds that have at least 3 running backs. Lance Turbis has the 4th running back here as he gets J.K. Dobbins. I guess there's something to be said for loading up with running backs early in this format. Do you prefer more of a balance, even in best ball?
I mean, realistically, with this type of format, the way it's set up, I probably won't take one for a little bit. I got the top 2. I need them to be great. Man, this just Lamar Jackson, Bateman stack with Jonathan Taylor is just too popular for me. I feel like every draft I've seen so far, they start with Jonathan Taylor. They might fearful a quarterback coming back.
Right.
And they just take this stack. And I just feel like in this type of format, you have to differentiate yourself a little bit. And I just don't feel like that's the way to do it. Not that either of those 2 players are bad, because they're both very talented players. And this team starting off is very good, in my opinion. But the stack you're going to see a lot of very similar builds from the 1 slot with Taylor, right, because people see Jackson, and after Allen, it's kind of a Herbert, Mahomes, Jackson type of thing.
Yeah, if you want to ensure yourself a stack, it's tough to do it with Mahomes there, because obviously Kelsey's gone and none of the other Chiefs receivers are going that early. Herbert, if you want to take him, Allen and Williams are almost always off the board there. Kyler Murray, I mean, you're looking at Marquise Brown gone, and nobody probably wants to draft DeAndre Hopkins that early. No. With the looming suspension. So I get why so many of them have done it. Not saying it's a good thing. How important is having at least 1 stack on your squad in the best ball tournament, Terp?
I think it's pretty important, to be honest with you. I'm definitely going to be watching the Chase guy, because it seems like with the 4th, 4 running back or 4 receiver type of setup, he's going to be targeting Burrow soon. Am I going to reach for him? No. I mean, I think it's definitely an option. But I have some creative things that I have on the horizon that I think could help out with the stack thing. In this type of format, though, I think stacking is very, very important. A lot of people say it's not. I don't agree with that. I think stacking, if you want to make it far, you need that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow type of week last week that made people all that money. I mean, it was crazy how much money that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. You need that to get far. In the playoff contest, if you didn't have Gabe Davis with Josh Allen, you didn't win anything.
Do you have a set number of players that you want to make sure that you have at least this X number of running backs, X number receivers, X number tight ends in this format, or does it kind of depend upon how you're team kind of shapes up as the draft goes on?
It all depends on the structure of the tournament. I mean, it depends on how I start. Right now everything's looking, actually it's falling in line exactly how I was hoping it to be, especially with this next pick, because I thought the tight end run here is a little surprising. I didn't expect Hawkinson and Schultz to be bumped up this much. I just think in the FFPC format that people get a little too crazy when it comes to tight ends. Obviously, they're very important. Obviously, they're very valuable to roster constructions. But to me, the receivers here, to me, this pick's either going to be Jerry Judy or Gabe Davis. So, I'm pretty much going to stick to one of my guys this year, and I didn't think he was going to be here now. So this is a very easy pick for me, and that's Jerry Judy. Huge fan of the Broncos offense. This is another option for stacks down the road. Love Russell Wilson this year. Love Denver. They're probably my favorite stack in all the tournaments that I've drafted. Antonio Gibson. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Interesting.
And if you look at the right side of the board here, you take Judy, but you look at everybody else, 2 receivers, 1 receiver, 2 receivers, 2 receivers, 1 receiver. So I'd like to think that a lot of receivers are going to start going off the board here before it comes back to you. Now you already have 3, only 2 need to be started every single week. So that's pretty nice for you right now. I know you're not concerned with tight end. At what point would you start looking at somebody like Joe Burrow or maybe Russell Wilson?
I'm sure me and team, 5 is going to get in a war with Joe Burrow. I'm probably 2 rounds away,
okay,
I guess, from Burrow. I don't think he's definitely not going to come off the board in the next pick here. Maybe in 7 if he comes back, but I think I could probably, wait a couple more and get Russell Wilson. Where's the Cortland Sutton owner?
Sutton is team 11. Just took Gabriel.
It looks like team 11. So with the setup of team 11, it's definitely possible that Russell Wilson might come this round 7. It really just depends on how round 6 goes. I can tell you right now, neither will be picked in round 6. I just think it would be too much of a reach with the talent that's still on the board and everything that's still out there to make a crazy pick like that. Not that it's a bad pick, but you don't want to reach for stacks. As much as important they are, you could always find a stack lead. There's plenty of good stacks leads, Giants, Jets. If you really want to get creative, the Texans stack is extremely underrated, and you can get that pretty much for cheap. Reaching for stacks can get you into serious trouble.
Yes, and I totally agree with that. On the flip side, is it a mistake for somebody to draft a quarterback on their roster and say it's their first quarterback in round 9 or 10, a quarterback where they don't have any of his pass catchers on their roster? Is it a mistake to kind of differentiate your roster like that?
In this format, I think it is. I don't. Can you win the $200,000 without a stack? Well, of course you can. There's always a chance. Will you make it through all the rounds to get there without a stack? I just don't think so. There's just too many guys that stacking. That's just how they built best ball drafts. So to me, it's just the way to go. It's the smartest way to go. And I think it's flawed. If people that draft Josh Allen by himself and bring no Crowder, Davis, obviously Diggs or Knox, it's a losing proposition in my opinion.
And just looking at it right now, we obviously talked about the Jackson Bateman stack from team 1. Team 8, team 9 gets Kelsey and Mahomes. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs from team 12. And now this round we see, we were talking about the Cortland Sutton owner maybe drafting Russell Wilson. He went for a different stack. He already has Mike Williams. He gets Justin Herbert here. Team 10 already had Marquise Brown. They get Kyler Murray here for what it's worth. James Conner as well. What do you make of that? Where you have this same, your top, or one of your top starting running backs is on the same team as your top quarterback. I know that's a no-no in DFS. Is it a no-no here as well?
I need to make this pick real quick, and it will be Elijah Moore, and then I will answer your question.
Okay, Elijah Moore. So doubling up on Moore's here. Elijah Moore from the Jets, wide receiver 29 in this format. Terp takes him at the 606 tonight as his 4th receiver. Let's talk about Elijah Moore in a second, but getting back to that question, is it a bad thing to have one of your top 2 running backs?
It's not a bad thing. I just don't think. I think it eliminates your upside. I mean, so team 10, obviously Connor, Murray, Brown. Can they all break out? Yes, but DeAndre Hopkins is coming back in week 7. So when he comes back, all those targets, all those, the ceiling is just not there. Mm-hmm. So you put yourself in that situation to where you draft all those guys, and I don't like drafting the 3 guys on the same team unless they're receivers. Like if you're drafting Kyler Murray with Brown and Hopkins, sign me up for that. Or, obviously Marquise Brown, Zach Ertz type of thing.
Okay. All right.
But you put Connor in there, obviously, can they all go nuts? Can they all go nuclear? Yes. But if there's a game where they do nothing, you're going to put yourself in so much of a hole that it's not for me.
Okay. All right. The team right next to you, Terp, team number 6 is loading up on wide receivers as well.
Extremely good draft so far. I don't know who that is. I don't really like the Amari Cooper pick because, in my opinion,
even as his number 5 receiver,
what's his upside with Jacoby Brissett?
Well, and that's the thing too. Now, couldn't you make the case that the upside with the Amari Cooper there is not with Brissett, but it's betting on, not betting on,
it's fair,
placing a chip on a smaller than expected suspension for Deshaun Watson.
On a team like this, it's a great chip to put in because if Deshaun Watson doesn't get suspended, this team can win $200,000 right next to me.
Are you surprised? Team 5 already had Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's out there. They go with Jalen Hurts. Now, I know you're an Eagles guy, and I love Jalen Hurts from a fantasy standpoint this year. But no, I take that back. He has A.J. Brown. Okay, so he went with that stack.
Chris Godwin,
rather than the Bengals one. Yeah, okay, let's talk about Godwin a little bit. To me, he is going way too early in draft. I mean,
I don't understand why. Why is he?
I've heard nothing positive about his recovery.
They're a Super Bowl team. The Tampa Bay Bucs are a Super Bowl team. They are not going to rush Chris Godwin back to play against and regular season average. Tom Brady can win those games by himself. Mm-hmm. The NFC outside of Tampa Bay and the Rams, who's really good? Sorry, Green Bay is not on that level. Who is there? Who scares you in the NFC? They can beat anybody without Godwin. So why are they going to rush him back?
And he's going and he actually slipped in this draft a little bit. Normally he's wide receiver 28 at the 604. He goes later in the 6th round as wide receiver 31 here. And that's, by the way, team 4's number 2 receiver. So and again, this is best ball, so we'll see how they fill in the rest of the roster. But to have Godwin as your number 2 receiver, I don't that's just, I'm not seeing the upside there in the 6th round.
I said I would rip on teams on this broadcast. So
yes,
I'm going to start. Team 4 started off Eckler, Kamara, dream start. You can't ask for a better start. Love Kamara. He has number 1 overall upside.
So the potential suspension is not scaring you right now with Kamara. You're not.
I have more Kamara than I probably do any other running back right now. Because
okay, all right.
He's been such a value in drafts. It's hard not to say that because what's Alvin Kamara without a suspension? Who's behind him? Me and you. Mark Ingram, stop it. Stop.
Tony Jones might not make the team.
You're getting him with Austin Eckler, and then everything just kind of goes downhill. Like Tyreek Hill, I'm not a Tua guy. Tyreek Hill isn't perfect for this format, but like with Jalen Waddle, a coach that might be too in over his head.
Or run heavy. Run
heavy with guys who are not good outside of Chase Edmonds, who's a good player, but then he has a bunch of dreck behind him. After that, why'd you take Ezekiel Elliott? It's not a pick in this format that Russell Gage, man, he's moving.
See, now I would much rather draft Russell Gage before Chris Godwin, especially after the Gronk.
I would take Russell Gage over Adam Thielen, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, and Amari Cooper.
I'm just curious right now where Gage has moved up. He was like a late 8th round pick, and now he's been going at sometimes as early as that 6-7 turn in this format, which is where he goes today, and he's going to keep climbing as well after that Gronk announced his retirement. Are you buying that? What do you think? Is he playing?
No, I think he's going to be back. He's somebody I've drafted a bunch. I don't. Nah, I don't. Tom's going to call him. They might struggle a couple games in the season. Cameron Brate, I'll say it on air right now, is going to be the most overdrafted guy, especially in the FFPC format.
Yeah.
Like, you can guarantee you, I hope everybody in this draft's watching, Cameron Brate will not be on my team. I'm not saying that he's not serviceable, but he's not good. He's just not. So
yeah,
he's going to get bumped up so much, and people are going to get so crazy with him.
Yeah,
that I just no. He's not an 11th, 10th, 11th round draft pick in probably this format. Nope.
Do you think Fournette will be a beneficiary of extra passes this year with no Gronkowski?
He definitely will. I mean, obviously he's get in shape, but I mean he's Brady's guy. Pass protection is extremely important for Brady. A lot of these guys like the rookie White. He's talented. He definitely has a lot going on for him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can't pass block, he's not going to play.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. Brady's not putting somebody out there. This might be his last year. You don't know with Brady, but he's not putting somebody out there who can't pass block. So to me, Leonard Fournette, you're getting him at a discount right now because Zach Ertz and Dawson. Interesting. This guy hates running backs.
I was just gonna say that.
This guy right here is another prime example. I don't know him. He started off so good. First 4 picks. DK Metcalf's not a guy that I'm in love with, but he's definitely a guy that, as your 4th receiver, I'm fine with. But why'd you double tap and you literally have no? Oh man.
I mean, the case for that is, okay, you want to not take a running back in the first 7 rounds. This team will work, but he's going to have to probably catch lightning in a bottle more than one time with a late round running back, which is really tough to do. And I mean, like when you look at what his team is going to have to be on a week-to-week basis just to make it out of this league, he's going to be going up.
His receivers have to be perfect.
And yes, but I mean, I still think he's going to have to really hit on some pretty solid late round running back.
And looking at what's left, it's not pretty.
I mean,
I'm on the clock, so I'm gonna. So my options here would be take the quarterback, which I'm not going to do.
Oh boy,
Amnon-Ra St. Brown will be my pick.
All right,
I'm just gonna keep loading up and keep it going when it comes to the receivers. I was hoping for Russell Gage there if he came back. He didn't, which is okay. I don't see any reason with the guys after me going quarterback. One guy could possibly take a quarterback. If he does, he does. But to me, when they come back, I'll have my chance. And if I want to just get on the gambling wheel again, I could possibly pass up on Burrow and Wilson, and they might make it back to me in round 9. And if that happens, I can't ask for anything better.
And you're just, if you do pass on both those quarterbacks in the 8th round, you're just hoping for one of them to make it back.
Don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I have Russell Wilson a little bit higher than Burrow. I'll ask you this question because me and Dan Williamson from the GOAT District, you know him very well.
Shout out to the GOAT District. Absolutely.
We have 2 bets going, so I'll ask you the question. You can answer it as fairly as possible. Season-long points per week, obviously. Right. Joe Burrow versus Kyler Murray.
I would say it's pretty close.
It's definitely close. It's definitely closer than the other one we'll do.
The other and Terp, the way I do it in this situation, I usually always, when it's that close, I usually always check to the guy that uses his legs more, and that's Murray. So I would probably be on the Murray side of that.
I'm on the Burrow side, so that's fair. This is one that's near and dear to your heart.
Okay.
Somebody I hate in the draft versus somebody that's near and dear to your heart.
Okay.
Drake London versus Christian Watson.
See, now I think I heard this on GOAT District. I think I heard Dan talking about this. You're on the Watson side?
I'm on the Watson side.
Now, I love.
Why would I be on the Drake London side?
Well,
who's throwing the ball? You?
Okay,
me?
I understand that, but at the same time, like with Green Bay, we know that. And God, I spent like 2 months defending Christian Watson, and now I got to go to the flip side of it. At the same time, like anytime Aaron Rodgers had a rookie receiver, they have not put up good numbers.
That's fair.
That first year.
But
this guy is raw, and he did have occasional dropsies. Drake London is
Who's he got to beat out?
Well, you're going to have Rodgers already has the trust factor with Lazard and Cobb. He's talking up Sammy Watkins. He's going to get Tunyon back. We share an affinity for Aaron Jones pass catching.
Of course, that's fair.
I think Dylan is going to catch a lot of passes as well. My concern with Watson is he gets off to a slow start while he's getting acclimated to the speed of the NFL. And by the time he's a factor in the season, for the Packers, you're talking about week 9, week 10, whereas Drake London, to me, is the most pro-ready, the most polished guy. And he's going to be peppered with a ton of targets because it's going to be him and Pitts. And I don't really see a whole lot else there, regardless of who's throwing him the ball, especially when you consider what I think is going to be a division of a lot of shootouts. Falcons playing catch up a lot. I think London's going to be the beneficiary of a lot of that.
I think Kyle Pitts is going to be the beneficiary of it.
I think he will be too.
I am not a Drake London guy. I understand why people love him. Wow, this is going kind of well so far.
Yeah, I'm just getting back to it right now. By the way, let's okay, you're on the clock right now. So
Derek Carr just went, and this is why stacks get you in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, this guy took Derek Carr to pair with Devontae Adams. Makes sense. Not hating on the pick, but no one's taking Derek Carr in the next round. They're just not. Nobody's gonna. I mean, could somebody come up and steal one of these guys? Yeah, but why take Derek Carr there when you could wait another round and take him?
You're going to have that owner right there, which is team 8, would have the opportunity to take Derek Carr in the 9th round before the Darren Waller owner would have a chance to grab him again. So I'm totally with you on that.
So I am here going to gamble because that's just what I do in life. And I'm not going to take a quarterback here. And I'm just going to add another pass catcher, Christian Kirk. They paid him. I'm a Dougie P guy, former Eagles Super Bowl winner, Doug Peterson. I just don't see any reason to not push the quarterback one more. It could bite me, but if it bites me, I have Trevor Lawrence, I have Zach Wilson, I have options to where there's also a world where I could, if it comes all the way
Jared
back
Goff.
again.
Jared
Let's
Goff,
not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not push it. I mean, I just look at the team next to me to the right. We're talking about the Derek Carr, Devontae Adams pick.
Right.
You took Kyle Pitts and Drake London. To me, in this format, people are going to look at, wow, they're going to get all the targets. Well, yeah, but they're probably the Atlanta and Seattle, the worst 2 teams in football. You could argue probably somebody else, but
there too. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Houston, from a fantasy perspective, could be better than people think.
That's true.
I mean, Davis Mills is my number 2 owned quarterback so far. He's free. You can get him nothing. So when it comes to a guy like that in an offense that we just talked about will be behind, I mean, I just think he's too hard to pass up, and you could pair him with the kid. Why? Like, why? Like when the guy double taps Burrow.
Yeah.
But you still haven't drafted a running back. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I get it's cute. You have Chase, you have Burrow, you have Hurts, you have Brown, but you're literally going to have Dave and Alex running at you for running back. And last time I checked, Dave might be a little fast, but I don't think Alex is.
Alex would definitely be the Brandon Jacobs and Dave.
Brandon Jacobs is that's a good comparison.
Yeah, Alex would be Brandon Jacobs, Dave's Tiki Barber. For sure.
Dave's a Tiki Barber type of thing. But what's their ceiling when it comes to all this stuff? I don't know. Like, I just think he started off so well. Double tap tight end, which people get crazy in this format because
first guy to do it. Nobody. I don't think nobody has taken a tight end since he doubled up on tight ends with.
My guess is these 2 teams coming up right here are going to get crazy with tight ends a little bit. Neither have taken them. They have a big drop off. My guess is you see 2 going right here somewhere. Lance, he's a wild card.
I don't know if I would count on Lance taking a tight end.
He can literally take a kicker at this point. If there's a kicker in the queue, he could take a kicker.
I want to get back to that Amon-Ra St. Brown pick that you made in the 7th round. I said a couple of weeks after the Lions traded up for Jameson Williams, when it seemed like, there was the euphoria of, Williams, he tore his ACL, but everything's been good. He's running and everything, so on and so forth. And then a couple weeks after, you know, you hear Dan Campbell talking about it. Well, you know, he'll, when he's ready, we'll play him and that kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, if he's going to miss all these mini camps and he's not going to be out there getting reps as a rookie, I don't care how good you are. That's really going to put you behind the 8 ball. And then at that point, Amon-Ra St. Brown is plunging in drafts, right? Because everybody's excited about Jameson Williams. Now I think, and I think he is still a really good buy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, for you in the 7th round or anybody who's taking him late. I think you buy the dip on him because as it gets closer to the season and nobody's seeing Jameson Williams on the field and they're seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown on the field, he's going to go back up in ADP.
1,000% accurate. I mean, he's a guy that early on when they drafted Jameson Williams, I was a little in the middle over. I wasn't like jumping over to get him. But now, I mean, they traded up to get Jameson Williams.
Yep.
Everybody knows that. Everybody also knows that he's a first-round capital. They're not going to rush him back. Detroit's not winning anything anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they get him on the field so fast if he's not ready to go?
Exactly.
Why would they risk a second injury when they don't have to? Right on cue, Lance takes Jameson Williams. I think he heard us. I think he might have been trying to troll.
He went.
Why would they do that as a franchise? They're a franchise that they're realistically probably a quarterback away from being a contender. They have a great running back in Swift, who was really hoping he made it to my pick. I knew he wasn't going to, but very high on him. Good tight end, very quality receivers. DJ Chark is no slouch, who's going to go way later in this draft. They have plenty of talent on the team. Why would they rush somebody back when they have guys in place who are serviceable and in some cases very good? They can play with Goff and make the team, grow.
And the other thing to keep in mind, too, when Dan Campbell got hired, and this is the thing I always think of, the Lions gave him like a 6-year deal, like not a 3-year deal, not a 4-year, 6-year deal, which to me makes me think they have the long picture in mind, right? And they're going to compete. They always compete hard, obviously, but I don't think they have visions of winning a Super Bowl this year. They have visions of winning a Super Bowl. I don't know about next year, but in the year after that, certainly.
Why? I think what's the point of taking Russell Wilson there? So I got burned. I'm not gonna lie, I got burned.
Yeah,
I can admit that, but I don't look in this. I guess the guy heard me making fun of his team. That's why I took Russell.
It could have been. It could have been.
And then the guy after him triple taps tight end. So that's fair. I mean, I'm sure I'll do a couple more of these as the season goes on, but like everybody tries to get cute on these things. Let's just call
so what do you? So Terp, what do you do when you see stuff like this? When somebody is pulling off what Team 5 is pulling off here with all these.
I don't understand what Team 5 and Team 6 is doing because Team 6, you still haven't taken a running back. It's round 9. You can't win like that.
Right. So is there a way to exploit that for you to when you see these teams do that stuff like this?
There's plenty of options when it comes to. I'm on the clock. Let me look.
So
there's plenty of upside players. Like all these guys are going to take all these quarterbacks and obviously quarterbacks are meaningful, but why would you? It makes no sense.
Right.
You have the option of Tua. You have the option of you could have took Brady. Like why'd you take Godwin if you're not going to take Brady? It just doesn't. If Godwin's going to, the thought process behind it is if Godwin's going to go nuts, that means Brady's got to go good.
Right.
So I'm on the clock. I'm just keep going with receiver. It makes no sense for me to do anything else. This gives me another option later. Kadarius Toney, Giants. Very, in my opinion, the most underrated stack right now that's going on in fantasy football. The new coach from Buffalo, Dabble. I'm terrible at names, but I just think he is not coming over there to fail. Saquon Barkley, it was fun when we were getting free Barkley shares.
You're right.
It was awesome. You ain't getting them anymore. You're just not. In my opinion, by the time when we draft in Vegas and in the main event and all that stuff, Barkley will be a first-round pick.
Wow.
Because you look at the first round right now.
And once we see him in the preseason, obviously that will move him up if he makes any.
Also,
kind of play.
If you don't see him in the preseason, that's going to move him up.
Ooh, that's going
to show that.
Why?
That they
value
put him out there.
Yep, exactly.
There's no reason to. They have nobody behind them. Matt Breida and undrafted free agents. That's a team where if you just look at certain guys, when they look at the overall thing, they want to see like who's behind them, who's got threats to their touches.
Right.
Obviously, with Aaron Jones, you have A.J. Dillon. To me, they're the best two position players that they have on the team, so it's not a worry. With Saquon Barkley, you don't got anybody. You have nobody. Matt Breida, stop. Could they add a veteran? It's possible. But no. 3 tight ends. I'm still shocked with how 6. I mean, I'm a Jamar Chase, obviously. That doesn't count. First round, you can look at every first round pick that these guys make, and it's like you do so many drafts that it's like certain guys you just don't like, but like there's none bad picks. But you start off 4 receivers, you have a chance to you take the tight end, you take Hurts, fine. You have what in the heck? Why 3 tap tight end?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. And I don't know if he, again, I'm just speculating. Maybe he thought him drafting that second tight end in the 7th round would spur a tight end run, and that didn't work. So then he decided he was going to take the next tight end off the board, and Dawson Knox. I mean, basically, he took Zach Ertz as the first player to take 2 tight ends, and then nobody took another tight end until he did 2 rounds later with Dawson Knox in the 9th round. So I don't know if he was trying to force the issue and it didn't work, so he tried to force it harder. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I've never seen something like that.
I don't think he knows either, and that's the worst part about it is like I came on here saying I was going to rip people's drafts, and I haven't really looked at the outside guys right now, but like I do not know. Like some people, the whole 0 RB people, it's popular on Twitter these days. Stop. Is it possible to win like that? Yes. But like,
so you are totally against 0 RB in like a football guys or a main event or something like that, right?
Yes. Like you have like the 1 RB, like I don't know even what they call it these days. There's
hero
so many
RB.
The hero RB.
Yeah.
If you're going that way, that's fine. But to just ignore the position through 9 rounds, like what are you doing? Because I don't know if the guy doesn't know the format, but Chase, Samuel, Brown, Metcalf, they all start for you. Mm-hmm. Schultz does too, but that's where it cuts off. Mm-hmm. Like these guys, obviously their best points are going to score, but who are you starting to receiver? Who are you starting to running back? Let's go through the running backs that are available right now. The top guys available: Melvin Gordon, Damian Pierce, Stevenson, Jones, White, Hines, Carter. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean,
you can't. You will not. If this guy wins $200,000, I will quit fantasy football for the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he can do it, but I mean, he's probably going to have, and I don't want to bring up season-ending injuries here early on in the season, but something to Breece Hall, something to Javonte Williams, something to Marlon Mack would certainly make Pierce and Carter and.
But you're dependent on so much to.
That's my point. Like, it's possible, but this is not. You would never find an investment guy telling you this is how I'm going to invest your funds. Where I'm going to go crazy with tight ends and quarterbacks here, not take a running back through the first 9 rounds and then hope to get lucky later. Like it's not a very high percentage way to win a national tournament. I would agree with you there. You're on the clock. What are you thinking here, man?
As of right this second, I think I might get a little tricky with this pick. This might be a pick that's near and dear to your heart. I'm thinking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I want to get crazy and just take the receiver. Actually, I'm going to take the receiver. I don't believe in quarterbacks like this. Rondale Moore.
It would be your third Moore.
I'm going to go with third Moore.
You could not have more, but you take Rondale Moore here.
I'm just going to keep going with this. There's no point right now. Like these guys double tapping quarterbacks. Like I get it in this format. I still have stack options. I still can take 3 quarterbacks if I want. I mean, I don't know if I'll get to that point, but there's just too much. There's just too much talent that's still out there. Especially running back wise, I'll get there. But let me look at the tight ends.
So just to recap for the viewers here, Terp is team 7, going with a couple of running backs early and then pounding the receivers here with this 8 receivers in a row. I know you were thinking in the 9th round of either Joe Burrow or Russell Wilson. I know they didn't make it back to you. How concerned are you in, again, a best ball tournament format like this? How concerned are you getting to the halfway point and only having the 2 stud running backs on your roster so far?
I'm not really that worried at all, to be honest with you. This whole guy, like, we'll just look at the top 5 or 6 guys that are left. I don't really love any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'll get too crazy taking any more. I'm probably going to slow down on a receiver, and it'll probably be a tight end quarterback tap soon. Maybe running back. There's like 1 or 2 running backs that I like, but they're more of handcuff guys for other guys who have already been drafted. Like, I would never take Alexander Madison. It's not that I don't believe in Alexander Madison, because I do. But in this type of format, why would you waste a pick in an 18-round draft hoping maybe, or not hoping, that Dalvin Cook gets hurt?
See, that's it. So in this type of format, if you're trying to beat out all these other teams, wouldn't you want a player like that to increase the variance on your roster? Like, grab a Madison.
Most people will not do it.
Okay.
To me, let's just hypothetically say I take Alexander Madison with my next pick.
Well, I'm not saying with your next pick, but I'm saying like later on.
We'll just say with one of my next picks.
Okay.
What's the best he's going to do for you? The only way he's going to hit and help your team is if Dalvin Cook gets hurt.
Right.
And if Dalvin Cook gets hurt, this team's not winning.
Oh, because you already have Cook. I see.
Because I already have Cook.
Right. So what if you didn't have Cook in this format?
Madison would be taken in a second.
Okay. Then
like,
I get
handcuffs. I legit probably won't take a receiver for a while.
Okay.
I just don't.
Would you be comfortable going to battle with this team, with this receiver core, and not taking another receiver the rest of the way?
There's one that I will take by the time the draft's over.
Okay.
So there's probably an 18th round guy. He's a guy that I'm very bullish on, but no receivers will be taken for probably a little bit.
We also have the 15th quarterback go off the board. Now the 16th quarterback go off the board as we begin the second half of this draft here. Terp, is there any inkling? Is there any urgency for you to force yourself to take a quarterback here in round 11, or are you still letting it come to you?
I wouldn't say there's a force, but I probably will think about it. Either tight end or quarterback will probably be taken here. It's just a question of which one. I have a tight end in mind. I have a quarterback obviously in mind if you look at the overall structure of my team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. One of those will get taken. It's just a question of what. I just think a lot of these guys, like Prescott's a great value there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to, I don't like the Gallup pick because he's another guy that might not be ready when it comes. Christian Watson.
Your guy.
Hey, he is.
So now that we kind of see what you need to do here in the second half of the draft. Do you envision yourself pounding the quarterback position and tight end position pretty hard? Or is there just a couple of targets where you're like, you know what, if I get 3 or 4 of those guys, I'll be good. And then I can focus on running back and receiver more.
Yeah, realistically, it's going to be probably a tight end move here or so I'm on the clock. It's really one of 2 ways, quarterback or tight end. I think I'm going to go with a little bit of it's one of the 3 tight ends. It's probably going to be either not Gronk, Alberto, Fant, or Henry. I like Fant the most, so he's probably going to be my pick. I guess I could go with Trevor Lawrence, but I'm fine waiting on quarterback and just taking 2 or 3. My receivers are good enough. So Noah Fant will be my pick here. I'm a big fan of him. He's probably my number 1 owned tight end so far in best ball. So we're going to start there. We'll see what comes back quarterback wise. If not, we might go another tight end. Let me get Madison out of there. I don't know why he was in there.
So Noah Fant, obviously you won't worry about any sort of stacking there with him, right?
No, I mean, he's not. My stacks are still open. I still have 3 stacked quarterbacks that are open. So what I was saying early in the draft is like people so I don't know what these guys are doing around me. So let's just look at the team to the right of me right now. We've been talking about the teams to the left, but the team to the right of me. You started Devontae Adams. Great. Kyle Pitts. Great. Jalen Waddle. No issues. And then Montgomery and Gibson. They're not players I'm targeting in this format. The reason is Antonio Gibson, love the player, but the Redskins, Commanders, whatever you want to call it, they hate him. McKissick's back, drafted Robinson. What is the best case scenario of Antonio Gibson? Montgomery.
And Gibson, by the way, too, this is another guy, you mentioned the reasons not to like him. He would have to have Robinson or McKissick injuries for him to really be a factor on your team,
Of course.
Which could happen, but are you willing to make that wager in the 5th round? Clearly,
A.J. Dillon. Do I love him this year? Do I love him as a player? Yeah. But you need Aaron Jones, who hopefully doesn't happen because he's on my team. But you need him to go down to reach where he's taken over for you. You also have 2 Falcons on your team and 3 quarterbacks. You drafted Derek Carr. You drafted Tua. You don't need another quarterback.
Yeah. I
love Justin Fields, but it's not even like you're using a stack. If you're drafting a 3rd quarterback, you might want to get a little tricky. Like if you have like Mooney and Cole Kmet, you might want to do that. But I just don't. You have Tua with Waddle. You have Adams with Carr. Why are you drafting Justin Fields?
Do you normally in this 20-round structure best ball tournament, do you normally like to leave with 2 quarterbacks typically?
Usually, yes. This one will be a little different because I probably will go with 3. I don't like doing it, but I feel like at this point, receivers, if they're not the best, they're one of the best structures in the team of the whole league.
Right.
You could agree, you could disagree or agree with the players. That's fine. But overall, let's see. Tight ends. I'm 2 away.
So we are while Terp considers this here, what he's going to do in the 12th round. We are at the 12:04. If you're just joining us here on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, we are covering a live, first time we've ever done this, covering a live FFPC Best Ball Tournament draft. $200,000 is the grand prize, $1 million plus prize pool, $125 to enter. Dave Terpoilli putting up his $125 tonight, and he is drafting in the 7th spot. He is on the clock in the 12th round. What are you thinking, Terp?
So to me, this pick is obviously people are going to look at my team and say, "Where's your quarterbacks?" I'm not going to take a quarterback here, and it might be a little dangerous, but I like living on danger. To me, the drop off of tight end, Gronk, obviously, maybe later, but not now. Hunter Henry, to me, is an easy pick. So he will be my pick. And then we will figure out quarterback later.
Do you feel like you're done with tight end, or
yes,
you still need to add? You're done with tight end after 2?
Very likely as of now. I mean, that could change if what I'm thinking in the next round happens. A lot of people are going to look at my draft and go, "Hey, where are your running backs at?" And yeah, I get that. Obviously, I don't have 4 or 5 like some teams do, but I mean, some of these guys who are getting drafted right now are just, not for me. I mean, there's plenty. When I say plenty, there's plenty of guys that are later that I would be perfectly fine as my running back 4. You see, you're seeing right now. This is first, right?
Yep, first tight end for team.
First 6. Tight end, and so oh man. So this guy that I ripped the whole time, He has Tony Pollard, so he's listening a little bit. But he has Tony Pollard, Melvin Gordon, and Ronald Jones as a starting running back. So
and Barkley.
And Barkley. Who's a team that I was ripping on the whole time?
You were ripping on Team 5 pretty hard.
Team 5. Okay, let me go to this board.
Who, by the way, took in the 11th round, took his first running back, Ramondre Stevenson. So that is the 38th running back.
Okay, now I see what I'm doing. So Ramondre Stevenson, totally off thing, but Stevenson is his number 1 running back. Like I said, if this guy wins $200,000, I will quit fantasy football for the rest of my life. I don't know this guy. It could be somebody that I know. I didn't look at anybody's roster except for Lance. A couple other guys I saw join the league when they saw it was going to be live. But his starting running backs are now Stevenson and Darrell Henderson. You can't.
It's a bold
move. You just can't. You can't.
Yeah.
No way. And if he does, hey, I've been playing fantasy football since Wyckoff when I was 18. I will throw the towel in because it is. It just frustrates me. And these zero running back guys are just crazy. They're just nuts. They try to get I think they just try to get cute.
Yeah. This is what's wild to me about it. And you went over his roster earlier. When you look at this guy's team, Chase and Samuel and AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, Tyler Boyd at receiver, Dalton Schultz, Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox at tight end, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Like, wow, this is a really good team. And then you see, I mean, it's not even like, I don't want to say it's inarguable, but it's borderline indefensible and irresponsible to have your starting running backs as Ramondre Stevenson and Darrell Henderson. This still, like you said, it still could work out. He just needs a lot of stuff to happen.
We're not talking about Devin Singletary, Rashad Penny. We're not talking about Damian Harris. We're not talking about who other guys? James Cook, Kenneth Walker, CEH.
Yeah.
He could have took Miles Sanders. I think 1, 2. He could have took Miles Sanders or Tony Pollard. I'm not sure what the way the board is, but one of those two guys.
He could have taken
neither of them.
He could have taken Tony Pollard. He could have taken Tony Pollard.
He could have took Pollard. He could have took Cordarrelle Patterson. He could have took James Cook. You can go Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds. Like, what? I don't get it. I just don't like these zero running back guys. Hey, plenty of guys have won plenty of tournaments doing crazy stuff.
Right.
But you have a 1%er. I don't give it more than 1%. Your receivers have to be perfect. Your tight ends have to be perfect. The quarterbacks, probably the best in this league. That's fair. Hurts and Burrow. I'm not hating on it. But you forced Tyler Boyd when you didn't need to. You have 4 receivers and 3 tight ends. What do you need Tyler Boyd for? To complete a stack? That's forcing a stack that just doesn't. And what's you think if Tyler Boyd and Joe Burrow are league winners, then I guess I'm retiring.
That's a separate conversation. Speaking of separate conversations, Ryan Turner's in the YouTube chat right now. Terp, he wants to know if you regret Christian Kirk over either Russell Wilson or Joe Burrow.
A little bit
in the 8th round.
A little bit.
But I guess like regret's probably not the right word, but like you took a calculated risk. Like you knew there was
in these tournaments you have to, because I took a calculated risk knowing that I still have Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson that are still potential out there for me. I could take them the next 3 picks, and I think I'd be fine. And I'd be perfectly fine with that. My tight end's good. Obviously, I have to build running backs and mix them in. But do I wish I had Russell Wilson or Joe Burrow? Well, of course. But do I think I could win without them? Yes.
Yeah. What about, because you had the Hunter Henry pick in the 12th round, is Mac Jones under the conversation at all at quarterback?
Maybe as a third. He's not somebody that excites me.
Okay.
I just think the Patriots are just, nobody could get excited about the Patriots from a fantasy perspective. And Hunter Henry, and then maybe you can mix in, I don't know if Jacoby Myers has been taken, but I'm not taking any receivers. Maybe not at all.
Yeah, I have not seen Myers go off the board at all.
Jahan Dotson is a guy that's very undervalued in drafts right now that I think will pop in the preseason. He's definitely somebody to watch in the preseason because Scary Terry still hasn't got his extension, still hasn't got his money. And Carson Wentz, I've always been a Wentz guy my whole career, but he's been terrible. He was terrible in Indy.
Yeah. What do you make of there goes Jacoby Myers. See, there's all these guys are watching this right now. We're giving them way too many ideas.
That's okay. I don't want him anyway. I should start doing that more often.
Yeah, that's what I was doing auctions.
I tried.
Nominate the guys you don't want.
All week I've been talking about how I hate Mark Andrews. I was hoping somebody would take him just to rub it in my face a little bit, but nobody actually did.
Right. What do you make of when you have when you draft a quarterback? Now you're not in this situation in this draft, but if you did have a quarterback on your team, what are your thoughts on like making a stack after you draft that quarterback with like a lesser known guy? In other words, you have Mahomes, maybe you grab, somebody like Valdez-Scantling or Sky Moore late. Is that
Patrick Mahomes is a great, I'm not a big Patrick Mahomes guy this year. I think he's being overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
But this league, an FFPC, people are smart. Quarterbacks are not going early. They used to, not anymore.
Right.
So like if you can get Patrick Mahomes if you like him, with Juju or MVS or Hardman or obviously Kelsey, it's not the worst thing in the world because these guys are pretty much free in drafts.
Right.
So you can build a stack like that. How do you say no? So let's see right now.
Now, as Aiden is pointing out in the chat, Terp, Cameron Brait, how upset are you that he was sniped on you one pick before you were going to beat?
Let me make my pick real quick. I see a running back that I love.
Okay.
Khalil Herbert will be my pick here.
There we go.
I am not a David Montgomery guy. I feel like it might drop off a little bit after him. So he's definitely a guy that I'm going to take here. And then maybe we'll take a quarterback.
Yeah, and starting a little bit.
Maybe the guy who's after me is going to take a fourth one. You never know.
And a little bit of a running back run here, Herbert, McKissick, Carter. But Herbert is a guy, now he's your number 3 running back, but he's the type of guy that you would want if you are not a Montgomery owner as you try to win $200,000, right?
I have no Montgomery shares through all the drafts that I've done so far. So Herbert's one of my number 1 owned handcuffs, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
He showed last year what he could do. Why? Like, why? What on earth? This guy, like this is the only problem about doing drafts like this. I think guys are listening and they're like, hey, I wanted to take Trevor Lawrence, so you don't get Trevor Lawrence.
But it's a detriment to his squad, right? Because
it makes no sense. Like,
yeah.
I swear these guys are listening going like, what? If you're going to take a backup quarterback to me in this format, like Trevor Lawrence, who are you pairing him with? What's the point of taking a backup quarterback with that stack? Unless it's Justin Fields or Trey Lance,
right?
Somebody can run. It doesn't make any sense.
And this is the thing I'm talking about now too, because to make that Lawrence pick worthwhile in the 13th round, you would think that he is going to have to not. And I don't want to make it seem like he's forcing himself to take, somebody like Marvin Jones or Laviska Shenault or somebody like that. But that then all of a sudden you have a stack at that point. It's just weird. It's weird to me to take the quarterback before you take the pass catcher.
Yeah, it's like I look at this guy's team and I'm like, he has 5 running backs, 5 receivers.
Yep.
Why not take a tight end there?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a 9th round tight end who I like him, but what does Lawrence bring to your team? Like you look at some of these teams, especially like you can really differentiate guys who are, and obviously the guy who I'm making fun of the whole time could win the league. He could, but you look at some of these guys from like round 7 to 13, and you see guys who know what they're doing, who are putting things together. The Dak Prescotts and the Gallups, guys like that. Kirk Cousins with Adam Thielen. Tua with Waddle to a point without the Fields pick. You see guys that were making picks, and like I don't understand why you would make that pick outside of just you're on a live feed and you know that I'm making fun of you. I'm going to take my first quarterback here.
On the clock again is Terp. It is going to be a signal caller. We are looking at
Zach Wilson will be my pick.
Okay.
My starting quarterback. Big fan of the Jet stacks. No way worried about this at all. A lot of people are going to sit here and go, hey, why did that idiot not take a quarterback to the 14th round? Well, Would I have done it over? Maybe. Christian Kirk over, we talked about it, over Burrow or Wilson. Could I have changed that? No. Do I regret it? No. There's so many ways. Like I told you early in the show, there's so many ways that with the stacks, still have stack options open over. I still have Daniel Jones. I still have Baker Mayfield. I still have Mac Jones. I can draft 3 of them and my receivers, stack them up against the rest of the league. Could this be the 12th team in the league? It could. But with these receivers and the upside they possess, I'm okay with it.
Is that the right mentality to have? I know I've heard this before too, especially when we get to pros versus Joes coming up in roughly a month or so, where there's no second place prize, right? And in this, where you just want to advance and keep moving on. Is there something to be said where you do take more high ceiling, low floor type players because you don't care if you're 12th or 7th or 4th, you just want to be first and keep advancing your team to the championship?
You said it perfectly. In this format, all you care about is first place. Obviously, you could move on to different options, but who cares if you come in 12th? What's the difference between 3rd and 12th? 0. You're not getting paid. So all you want to do is find a way to get out of your league. So is a potential Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, a lot of Joneses, a lot of Moores on my team.
Yeah,
but is that a potential to be a disaster? Of course. But if Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, or Mac Jones work out, the rest of my team is set. I have 2 running backs that I can count on every week. Obviously, if they get injured, I'm screwed. But who would you rather have? Dalvin Cook or Aaron Jones? Or Dave Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon?
Right. Yep. Totally. It's not close.
Would you rather have Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, or Derrick Henry, Elijah Mitchell, CEH, and James Cook?
Right.
You keep going down team to team, and it's like, obviously there's going to be a position on your team this week. It's just the way it works. If you come out of every draft saying, yeah, my team is loaded, you're lying to yourself.
Now, I noticed our good buddy, the punching bag, Team 5, has taken a 4th tight end. How many times?
Why?
Yeah.
His best pick of this whole draft, and I'm trying to be nice here.
Yep.
Jamar Chase, number 1. Great pick. Was hoping he came. Didn't come. His 13th round pick is his best running back by far.
Yeah. I thought so too.
Why did you take Hayden Hurst? Why? I don't know who you're taking at running back, but take 7 of them and hope for the best. The rest of your draft should be running backs. What?
I'll say, not that I'm defending the pick, I'm not, but he's been getting some buzz. Hayden Hurst has been getting some buzz by some of the beat writers in Cincinnati, and he obviously already has the Boyd, Burrow, Chase thing going on. Now that's all fine and good, but if your plan was to take Hayden Hurst late, you probably should have laid off at least 2 of those tight ends earlier. And like you said, Terp, go with a couple of running backs there, and then you're not relying on Stevenson, Henderson, and TDP late here.
There's nothing wrong with the Hayden Hurst pick on team 2, on team 3, on team. I don't know why team 4 took Logan Thomas. That doesn't make any sense. Team 6, who has Tyler Higbee and Brait, would have been a great Hayden Hurst pick. Mm-hmm. You have Schultz, Ertz, and Knox. Like, what? Why would you take Hayden Hurst? It's nothing about the player. The player, Hayden Hurst, could easily be a top 10 tight end this year, maybe higher. I mean, there's nobody else behind him, but I just don't understand. The pick makes no sense. I don't know.
You have a finite number of spots on this roster that you are going to keep all season long, and to dedicate 4 of them to tight ends in the first 14 rounds when you already have 3 tight ends on your roster in the top 9 it's tough. And now he's added a 5th tight end.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, these are people who are like, they see the market, they see the draft, and they're like, FFPC, oh my God, I get crazy with these draft picks with tight ends. Like, yeah, they're cool and everything, but like, why did you take it? I think he's just listening to me and taking the people that we're making fun of. I'm on the clock here, so let's see. Running back? No.
Terp has, again, to recap, 8 wide receivers on his squad. He does have a couple of tight ends, a quarterback now, and 3 running backs here. This is pick 1507 in the 15th round, obviously. What are you thinking here? Is this going to be another
easy selection for me? I told you I was trying to build stacks late with certain of these receivers, and it's worked out as well as I could have asked for. Daniel Jones will be my pick. So now I have him and Tony. I have Wilson and Moore. I'm good. Will I take another quarterback? Probably.
Okay.
Will that be anytime soon? I don't know. I don't know why that guy took Wan'Dale Robinson. I was really hoping that he came back, but I mean,
Terp, let me ask you this: when you see a drafter like what Team 5's doing here, where it's total chaos, there's no predictability to it at all. Does that force you off your strategy at all?
Not in this right now, because like he's going the opposite of what I'm doing. So like he's in no way affecting me. If this was a main event and this guy, like we've seen main events where people there's that all running back guy. I don't know his name, but he just drafts 8 running backs first. I don't want that guy in my league because people say, oh, that's an advantage. I don't think it's an advantage because he just gets so crazy that like he makes you do things that you're not used to doing. Mm-hmm. You're trying to adapt to him instead of seeing what everybody else is doing. So like this guy isn't really affecting me at all because he's literally doing the opposite of what I'm doing. So like I drafted running backs first. He drafted receivers. He's drafted his tight ends and quarterbacks, but I'm still drafting receivers. Mm-hmm. Then he's drafting his running backs where I'm drafting my tight ends and quarterbacks. So he's not really affecting me. He's probably affecting other people. Like if I waited on tight end, like I'm glad I double tapped it back to back.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I mean, I could be in a little bit of trouble right now at tight end.
If he was drafting the same players that you were, or the same position that you were, right. Doesn't that speak doesn't that stress the point even more that you should be drafting a balanced roster? So when you have to pivot, the pivot isn't necessarily destroying your roster or making it totally different than what you want it to be or what it needs to be. Because if you already have, 2 running backs or something like that, and the running backs are going fast, well, you can pick up another one and you're okay. And you can, eschew the wide receiver position as an example. Does a drafter like this really drive home the point of trying to keep a balanced team in mind at all points until the core of your roster is formed?
Yeah, in a format like this, you have to keep a balanced team. You have to be able to adapt to what other drafters are doing to an extent. Like this guy, I mean, I'm truly trying hard to say something nice about his team, but outside of like, I don't count the first 2 rounds. You don't say anything nice about people because it's just clockwork most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
But after that is when you like start like going, hey, that was a nice pick. That was a nice pick. And it's like, I don't hate his players, but based off this format, the roster construction is just so flawed to where you're looking at the team going like, I don't see how this guy can compete. And everybody around him, you should just build a team. Like if you go into a draft and you're like, I'm going to build a team, 2 running backs, 5 receivers, 3 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, and then just fill it in after that. It's a flawed system because you're trying to build it as the draft goes on. Everybody goes in with a plan, and the plan just gets screwed up.
Yeah.
It never works. Let's just call it what it is. Like you go in. I went in this draft going, I want 5 guys, and none of them were available, and I'm going to be on the clock. And I'm really hoping for one player. So
I'm just looking at how many discretionary picks here that you have left. If you want to get another quarterback yet, and you said you probably draft another one, but you're not married to it. But you'll have.
I will definitely draft another one. Okay. 100%.
All right. So then that gives you 4 discretionary picks the rest of the way. You said you're done at tight end. Are these going to be heavy on the running back side then too? Because you only have 3 running backs.
The running back right here is a guy that I've been targeting probably the most out of any guy right now when it comes to handcuff. And most people are going to look at this board and going, this is ugly. I look at this board and going, I kind of like it because realistically, I'll probably draft this running back that I'm about to take and one other guy. I am not a Derrick Henry guy. Have no interest in drafting Derrick Henry this year. Put that out there right now. I just don't. I think this is the year No A.J. Brown. The cliff just falls off. And Hassan Haskins, the rookie from Michigan, will be my pick.
Haskins is interesting. I drafted him in a couple of dynasty leagues because it just, at some point, Henry does have to start slowing down. Maybe it'll be this year, maybe it won't be. But to me, when the team is investing in not only a true backup running back here to Henry, but a guy who I see, granted, not nearly on the same scale, but I see certain traits that are very similar to Derrick Henry.
Right.
I think that's what the Titans are seeing as well. So if Henry were to miss time or get hurt and Haskins has to step in, he can do a good portion of what Henry was doing. I was just going to say something about Haskins now, and I totally blanked out. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's important, Terp, to know that in this format, in the best ball tournament, when you're drafting these late round running back, these injury away type guys, it's important to realize that I think a lot of people say, oh, if Henry goes down, then I got this guy the rest of the season. If Montgomery goes down, I got Herbert the rest of the season. You don't necessarily need these guys to go down for the year, but if you get these pockets where it's like 2 or 3 games where they start, I mean, that's a massive move.
That's a massive pocket because you look at Derrick Henry last year, the first how many ever weeks, he was a league winner. Everybody that was on top of every best ball contest had Derrick Henry. Your team could be very average behind him, but he was so good. Then when he got hurt, if you find that guy that can fill that pocket, and let's just say Haskins is that guy, you have such an advantage because you're talking
even if it's only for a couple of weeks.
You're talking about a 15th round. Where did I take him? 16th round player that is taken away from a second round pick. And that is massive in this format because I also have him with 2 running backs that I think could easily be top 1, 2, 3 overall. So it's hard to not be excited about a player like that. Could Hassan Haskins stink in the preseason and never play? It's also possible.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry, he got hurt last year. He gets a ton of carries.
Another year older.
So Lance just did exactly what we said not to do. I love Lance, and he loves draft. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 running backs. And Lance is my boy, but if you're taking Christian McCaffrey, why are you taking Foreman?
He's got a lot of rookies, too, as I look at
this rookies. That guy just loves drafting rookies. He took Gronk, too. I mean, he must not have heard the news yesterday. 12th round Gronk's a little expensive for somebody that
just announced his retirement. Unless Lance is just total team, like this is all a ploy.
I'm with that, but still, you could probably got him a lot later. I don't think anybody's taking him.
What do you make of drafting rookies now that the rookie fever has worn off from a lot of dynasty players? You notice that in football guys in the best ball tournament drafts, right after dynasty rookie drafts go off the board or right after the NFL draft is complete, you see a lot of rookies, rising in the ADP. Now they've kind of settled into where they're going to go. Is there anything to be gained there by drafting a rookie-heavy team now? To me, I think the rookie-heavy team should be drafted right away.
It's definitely right away because now the rookies are being, like the Breece Halls of the world, guys like that, are being pumped up so much. Jameson Williams is kind of falling a little bit, but like Drake London, guys like that, you're not getting any discounts on them. Early on, before, you were getting a little bit of a discount. Guys like Christian Watson, like guys like that before the draft, you had so much of a discount where you can get anybody you wanted. So I'm on the clock right now. I have a creative way that I'm trying to go, but I don't know if it's time for that yet. Running backs,
yeah, they're drying up. You do have 4 of them now.
I do have 4 of them. There's a 5th that I like. Let's look at the receivers to see if there's anybody.
Terp, as a reminder, the viewers went receiver from rounds 3 through 10 to grab 8 of them. That was the only pocket of receivers he's drafted, so they're very strong right now. They're very deep. He's been able to grab a couple of tight ends, been able to grab a couple of stacks at quarterback with Wilson and now Daniel Jones. And he does have two injury away type backups in Khalil Herbert and Hassan Haskins. He does not own Montgomery, does not own Henry to try to increase the variance there. And now he's on the clock in the 17th round.
So in the 17th round, this just pick has been a little tricky because there's a way I want to go, but I want to wait to the next round to do what I want to do. And I think I'll get away with it. And so far I am. I took Chris Evans. It's same thing with the handcuff thing. Is he better than P. Ryan? Without a doubt. I mean, you saw P. Ryan at the end of the Super Bowl. Why was he in the game? Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, Chris Evans brings way better of a pass catcher. This will probably be the last running back that I take. I mean, I don't really see anybody else on the board that really excites me. I'm fine with my running back room. Is it, obviously if Cook or Jones go down, am I in trouble? Yeah. But do I have confidence in Herbert, Haskins, and Evans? I do, because they all present different upside on guys who are way higher draft capital and could easily Montgomery being a total dud, Mixon getting hurt, and Derrick Henry getting hurt. So if either of those three things happen, I have a guy that will be fine and have no worries whatsoever. So my running back room is probably closed at this point. And a stack I was looking for is coming into fruition.
Okay.
I mean, I'm very excited if it happens because most people are going to see it. And it's not guaranteed to happen. But if it does happen, I'm all in. Because if a trade happens in my stack that's about to come into fruition, this team could be a very, very, very good team when it comes down to the stretch. All we just need is a nice little NFL trade to make it happen. We talked about it earlier, if you were listening, but we'll see if it actually does. I'm going to take the receiver I was talking about earlier, who I'm very, very high on, will be my next pick. If
the other thing, and you're a couple of picks away, so I just want to bring this up too to the viewers.
Of course.
When we talk about Chris Evans versus Samaje Perine, Perine may be the guy who gets the more touches and the first and second down and probably goal line. But at that point, if I'm drafting part of a shared backfield where I need the starter to go down in order to have some value, right, it's pretty rare for me to want that first and second down banger as my choice. Like, I want the pass catcher. I want the guy
that's the biggest upside. And
right.
Chris Evans was non-existent last year. He had a couple flashes, but he wasn't anything that was special.
And Mixon was healthy most of the year, right?
Mixon was healthy.
Right.
You also don't know. I mean, running backs are very, very unpredictable, and you don't know exactly what you're going to get from them. So it's hard to say that Mixon will make it through a whole season. And if he doesn't, P. Ryan versus Chris Evans on tape, on paper, I'll take Evans 99% of the time.
There was something else I was going to say now about that Cincinnati backfield. I can't remember what it was. It's not. If it's important, I'll remember it. Jared Goff is off the board. The dream is over of St. Brown and Jared Goff on the same.
He
squad.
Was not the pick.
I know he wasn't because I brought that up.
You already asked me, and I said,
and you poo-pooed it right here. Let's not get crazy here, Balky.
I'm going to make a little bold prediction right here.
Okay.
First time I've been on the show. This might worry you, but Lions over the Packers this year.
I'm telling, like, it happened last year, right? I mean, it's entirely possible.
I wouldn't say it would be a crazy bet on total wins. I don't like.
No, I could see the case for that because I mean the Packers are a different team this year. They're a different type of team than they were last year, and the Lions had maybe the best draft of anybody. Well, maybe the Jets had a better draft than them, but the Lions had a great one as well. All right, you're up, sir, in the 18th.
I'm on the clock. This is the receiver I was talking about. This will be the last receiver I took. He was a popular pick last year in the preseason. He had a good preseason. He got bumped up. Main event drafts, he was going in the 8th, 9th round, and then did nothing all season and literally fell off the cliff. But if what I think is going to happen happens, the upside's just there. And I drafted one of the guys from the teams already, but Mr. Marshall from Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is interesting because a lot of people now we've seen a lot of receivers struggle in their first year, make some adjustments, grow, get better, and make a big leap in year 2. Nobody's really talking about that from Terrace Marshall. And this is a guy who got talked up a ton last year.
He was drafted in one of my main event drafts last year. We drafted him in the 9th round because he had the preseason of preseasons. Robbie Anderson's a bum. He's ahead of him. It looked great, and it didn't work out. But, I mean, the talent's still there.
Right.
And if they do what might come on the flip here.
Let me ask you this, Terp. The Terrace Marshall pick, would you have made that pick there just so I'm clear and so the viewers are clear? Would you have made that pick in the 18th round here, regardless of if you have DJ Moore on your team?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter. He's a player that I've added as many best ball contests as I can. Obviously, in the 18th round and the rounds where you're drafting him, he could be a total stiff like he was last year.
Right.
But you have to take some shots when it comes down to here because you don't want to be drafting the same guys as everybody else. The whole goal is when you're getting to the 18th, 19th, 20th round in these drafts is to take somebody that you feel that's nobody talks about that could turn into gold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at some of the guys that were drafted, the Elijah Mitchells, the Cordarrelle Pattersons from last year, guys that weren't drafted, that were undrafted free agents that you could sit here right now and go, yeah, the Atlanta Falcons have Mike Davis. He's a bum last year. Everybody knew he was a bum.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody took Cordarrelle Patterson because it just didn't make sense. But you're sitting there in these rounds and you go, this guy has upside. And Cordarrelle Patterson, Elijah Mitchell were league winners last year. They got you to where you needed to be. They might not have got you there at the end, but
I think, like, everybody, we all like to talk about, the week 17 games because that's when the money is given away. But at a certain point, and you can listen, there's no shortage of content and podcasts out there about advance rates and the importance of advancing.
Can you just tell me who is the 19th round guy that got drafted?
That is Jashawn Corbin, who just went.
Who in the heck is he?
Corbin is a guy, I'll tell you exactly who he is. He actually played at Florida State, running back, played at Florida State, undrafted guy. And I believe the New York Giants signed him.
So he's one of the guys I was talking about. That was me and you running behind Barkley.
Right.
Okay.
He's behind. Oh, I got to look at this now. So on the Giants, I got to make sure he is a Giant. I think I'm remembering it correctly. Barkley, then Breda, Gary Brightwell, Antonio Williams, and then Jashawn Corbin. And then somebody named Sandro Platzgummer, who I've never heard of before.
So right there, you just read a list of why. Okay, every time we start talking, this draft just gets wackier. Like, why is Team 4 taking Russell Wilson, Winston, Watson, and Wentz? Why?
I don't know, man.
For what reason?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be on the clock next. And I think you know where I'm going to go with this because I've been talking about it, how I want it to happen in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. And it still could.
And it still could. And if it doesn't, I still think he gets moved somewhere to where he just did that on purpose. Like that is no doubt.
Live draft coverage, everybody. You can't make it up.
Like I'm kind of annoyed right now. I mean,
well, and now
I don't even want to take. He definitely. Why?
Yeah, and that is his only backup too, and so
a guy that's not even on a team right now.
Right, exactly. So if Brady was to go down, and Mayfield is backing somebody up somewhere, he's going to be in a world of hurt.
Very annoyed with that pick. I haven't been annoyed this whole draft. I think I know who this guy is, so I'm going to send him a message on Twitter after this. I'm just taking Ryan Tannehill right now for no other reason because I want a third quarterback.
I think that's a great pick.
I have no stack. I have no nothing. Actually,
Hassan Haskins.
There might be a stack out there.
Oh, that you can still craft yet?
I always look for the stack. It's just a question of do I want to add a third tight end or not?
No, yeah.
That's the only negative about like I will do these drafts every time I'm asked to because this is fun. But like, if you're drafting a draft, I don't care if it's $25, $33, $125, $2,000. Why are you taking Baker Mayfield? There's no Lockett. Am I missing? There is Lockett. Okay, that's Lockett. So he's thinking the same thing I'm thinking in a different way. I'm thinking Carolina. He's thinking Seattle. So, okay, I'll let him slide. That's a good pick. I'll take it back. Because he's thinking it's going to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
He's thinking it's going to be with Lockett. That's fair.
Yeah, that would. I guess
that's
that would
fair.
make sense.
I mean, I'll take back. This team is actually a very good, well-drafted team, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted Pittman, so he took Pittman. That's fair. He's definitely reading my Twitter, so that's okay. That's good. I like that. I would have took Allen Robinson over Judy, but that's okay too. He knows I love Tony Pollard. I mean, this guy's definitely reading my stuff. I like it.
And he just happens to be drafting right next to you.
That's never a good thing. But at the end of the day, I enjoy all this. Let's look at these teams. All right. So, you know the guys in the league? I don't have access to them.
I'll be honest with you, I purposely did not look at who was drafting.
Team 11. That's not the team that won it. That's not the guy who won it last year, is it?
It could be one of them.
It probably is one of them because I know the name.
Right.
There's like 4 or 5 guys in here. I know their names. I'm not going to call them out. I can call out Lance because I know he doesn't care.
Terp, I would say that Team 11, there's a better than normal shot that they won $500,000 last year. Based on my quick cursory research.
I saw him enter and I was like, all right, so I'm in my last round here. So it comes down to, do I want to do the Tannehill stack with Nick Westbrook, Ikini? I don't know if I said his name right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think you did.
Or do I want to go straight Daniel Jones and go with Ricky Seals-Jones and give myself another tight end because he's
another Jones.
And another Jones. And I'm a big Jones and Moore guy. Didn't plan that at all, but
Jonesing for Jones, more.
I mean, I could change my team name, but my team name's for my daughter that's going to be born very soon, so I can't change.
And congratulations, by the way. I didn't
appreciate
tell you that. Congratulations.
You. Thank you, brother. I'm going to go with, because, I mean, why not just take a tight end? I'm going to take Ricky Seals-Jones. I got Daniel Jones. I got Tony. So let's just do it.
And, like, honestly, too, the other thing with, like, that, they have Brian Dable there, who is a pretty smart.
Who turned Dawson Knox from nobody to somebody.
Yep, exactly. So I think there is a lot to like about Ricky Seals-Jones there. And he's, Seals-Jones, I don't think he's ever done it as for a full season before, but we've seen him flash some pretty good.
And with my tight ends, all I need is really some flash. I don't have the Travis Kelce's of the world, the Andrews of the world, the Pitts of the world, but I'm happy with Fant. I'm happy with Henry. I'm happy with Seals-Jones. I mean, with my receivers and my running backs, obviously the starters. Do I wish that Christian Kirk maybe would have turned into Burrow and Wilson? If I could do it over, which I will.
But I mean, it's like you said, like you there's certain risks you have to take, and that was a risk, and it to me a roll of the dice that made some sense for you.
It was a risk that I never thought the guy with Jalen Hurts around before would take Joe Burrow.
Exactly.
So,
totally.
And if that doesn't happen, realistically, nobody's taken. Stafford went with Kupp. I would have probably got one of the two. So I'm all about risks in these drafts because at the end of the day, if you feel confident with your whole team going into, after the draft's over, it never usually works out.
Right.
You want one position. I was reading someone on Twitter the other day, and they said if there's not one position that you're just not, oh my God, I'm scared about, it's not going to go well, because in these drafts, you want to be stacked at 2 positions, 3 positions, and then just worry about one. And with this draft, I think I am.
I just real quick about Lance's draft here at the 2. He takes Mo Alley Cox in the 16th, Jelani Woods in the 20th. Is that, it's not really a stack? Is that something you would avoid doing?
You're hoping and praying for one of those guys to be something, and I forget the third guy that's there, but he could be something. So you could be stuck with 2 dead position players.
Right. Okay.
And with his tight end room the way it is, with Gronk, he could be literally depending on Robert Tonyan all year. And you saw the 2 different years. You saw the last 2 years from him, and you had him with Rodgers, but you didn't. I don't know. You didn't pair him with any other receiver. You could have paired him with one of the late guys, the Christian Watsons, Amari Rodgers, guys like that. Even Romeo, but he didn't get drafted. I don't know. It's not for me. If you're going to go with the Rodgers stack, I feel you got to go all in with it. You got to draft the tight end and a receiver.
Right.
It limits your upside. Because if Rodgers goes nuts, there's a great chance he's not going nuts at the Tonyan.
I'm surprised that where did Christian Watson go again in this draft?
He went early. He went 11th round. To me, that's early. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the player, but he's somebody in this format that could be tough.
I wonder, and I'd have to ask Lance. By the way, Lamar Armstrong in the YouTube chat right now. Just give Team 5 the championship. #hurts so good.
He's an idiot. He's one of my good friends. I told him to make sure he's watching tonight. He knows I'm ripping the team because he's watching the whole thing. We are Eagles fans.
Right.
But stop it.
Yeah.
He has you, me, and Lamar starting at running back.
It's not.
He drafted Mike Davis in the last round. Yeah. Is Mike Davis still even in the NFL?
Baltimore right now.
Why? He shouldn't be in the NFL.
Well, you could make that case. And I'll say this about Mike Davis. The fact that Baltimore brought him in, and Dave the Dizzle Gerzak's been saying this, is like he doesn't think that Edwards and Dobbins are healthy right now. And that's why you bring in a guy like Davis. So maybe that could work out for him in the 20th round. But what's working out for Mike Davis? 600 yards.
Yeah, Mike Davis was a starter last year in Atlanta, and what did that get him?
Yeah.
Like, people drafted him in the 4th, 5th round last year. That is horrific. Just clicking his name over some of the guys. Like, there's people last year that drafted Mike Davis over Cooper Kupp.
Can you imagine?
Just gives you anxiety just thinking about. Over Debo Samuel.
There's some.
You had Debo Samuel, Mike Davis on the board, and you took Mike Davis.
You took Mike Davis. There's some people that did that and are not going to play fantasy this year. I guarantee.
They shouldn't.
Because of that. You
can't recover from something like that. Everybody makes bad hits, but Mike Davis last year was just, it was bad.
Terp, do you have, when you look at your roster here, do you have a favorite pick that you made in these 20 selections? Of all those players, do you have a favorite?
Jerry Judy's my guy, so he's a guy that I'm targeting in almost every draft that I'm drafting right now. Besides him, like Dalvin Cook, he's a 1st-round pick. Aaron Jones, we already talked about that. The 1st round, you just want to try to avoid the landmines and type of thing. T. Higgins, I think, is a great value compared to where he's going. I like Christian Kirk. I think he's going to be a very good fantasy player this year. People can say whatever they want about him getting paid, but you're not paying a guy all that money. Dougie P, he's not an idiot. He's a good offensive coach.
Right. Yeah.
He will get him the ball.
Lance is in the chat room right now. Lance Turbis. Who is the Cooper Kupp and Debo Samuel this year? Is there one? I mean, I guess after hearing you talk about Judy's the type of guy, 4th, 5th round pick that could really help.
Judy, Sutton, and probably the number 1 guy besides that is Darnell Mooney.
Okay.
It is really hard not to see how he's not going to get a shit ton of targets.
Yeah. Yeah.
He could easily get 130, 140, 150 higher. I mean, who else is there? There's nobody else there.
That's really Velus Jones, basically, and that's it.
Velus Jones,
and
Byron Pringle. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about they drafted 7 guys.
Well, what do you think about Kmet then this year?
Big fan of him. He's a guy that I would have loved if he would have came back to me when I took Tony. I would have took him there.
Right.
I would have took the tight end there. I'm a big fan of him, and the difference between like him falling back is like Justin Fields is the guy that I've been loving stacking so far because he has that rushing upside, and in drafts you can get Mooney, Cole, and Fields cheap, and then all your other top guys are fine. So that's another cheap stack that people still haven't picked up on. Could it blow up? Of course, but all these cheap stacks, like I talked about the Jets, who I own now, the Giants, who I own now, the Texans, the Bears. I mean, guys like teams like that, like you can get all these guys for nothing, paired with all the guys up top who are league winners. The Vikings is another one.
Yeah.
If you get Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is. Look at his numbers.
Yeah. No, he always puts up big, and he's going to be in a more pass-friendly
1,000%
offense this year.
Yeah, Adam Thielen's a great pick this year. Irv Smith, like I talked about this earlier, you asked me who my number one. He's a guy that could easily be a top 5 tight end by the end of the year if he comes back healthy, of course, which all signs are that he has.
Do you have a pick on your squad tonight, Terp, that if you had to do it over, you wish you would have taken somebody else? I know we talked about the Kirk thing. I think we
talked about the Kirk thing. I mean, he's probably the one that. Other than that, I'm relatively happy with how everything. Like, I'm really annoyed with the Baker Mayfield because Baker Mayfield is somebody that I've targeted so much in drafts because I'm drafting Seattle guys at a good value. I'm drafting Carolina guys at a good value, and to me, if Baker Mayfield goes there, it only helps them move up. So you're getting Baker Mayfield for free. He's definitely the pick that annoys me the most because if he's Ryan Tannehill is not going to hurt me, but I mean, he's really just, but I don't like, if I'm taking a guy in the 16th round, I'd rather have somebody that's with him. Like if I took Burks earlier or Woods earlier or something like that, or Cooper, I guess.
But I mean, I got to look this up right now because to me, Tannehill is going he went so uber late tonight.
I'm surprised. I mean, he went after Wentz. Mayfield, Mills, Jones, like
you got him in the 19th. You got him in the 19th. The latest he's gone in this tournament in the last week, Terp, has been the 17th round. So that's
surprising because
a lot of value in Tannehill.
He has no real big upside, but like he has the rushing upside. You see him rush. I mean, with Henry, without Henry, does the receiver scare me? Like obviously. You know, Burks isn't in camp yet. That's a worry, but Robert Woods coming off the injury.
But Woods has been getting a lot of positive pub. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. Also, that division stinks. Yeah. The division is not good.
And so Hooper, Austin Hooper has been getting a lot of love.
He's been getting a lot, but he's still Austin Hooper. I mean,
but at that point,
he's Cameron Brate.
My point is, by bringing up the Hooper and the Woods thing, is that Tannehill, who has an ADP of the mid 15th in this tournament over the last week, for you to get him in the 19th, that's an awesome pick to me.
I mean,
and I know it's not Baker Mayfield, but it's still a really good pick.
Yeah, it's a good third quarterback when it comes to my top 2 quarterbacks are unknowns because they are Zach Wilson and Daniel Jones. We don't know anything about them. I don't know. If you told me going into this draft that there would be my 3 quarterbacks, I'd be like, I was drinking too much. But with the way that the draft fell, like each draft's going to be different. I'm sure I'll do another one of these soon.
Right.
And my draft will look totally different than it does now because it's just everything fell. Did I gamble too much on Christian Kirk and could have got Russell Wilson and Joe Burrow? Would I have felt better? Well, yeah. But am I upset about? We talked about it earlier in the show, like reaching for Joe Burrow, reaching for where else did I go? Reaching for Russell Wilson, things like that. I always had the option of Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Trevor
Right.
Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones. So like the stack options were still always out there. It was the question of filling them that would make this team hopefully win the league.
Lance is chiming in the YouTube chat. Nobody wants Devontae Parker. He could be the best wide receiver in New England. And Mac 10 looks excellent to grow a bunch in year 2. I know I'm trying to figure out where Lance got. 13th round for Devontae Parker. Do you like Parker or Jacoby Myers better this year, Terp?
I like Devontae Parker better. He's right on there. Like Jacoby Myers, I think you saw the best you're going to see from him last year. In a season-long format, in a main event format, he might be a better player. But in this type of format, Devontae Parker has the upside if they let Mac Jones throw the ball down the field, which is still a what if. You don't know anything about that. You don't know. I mean, who's running the offense these days? Is it Belichick? Right. Is it Joe Judge? I mean, you don't know. Matt Patricia? Like, where is the Patriots going? They're still a run-first team. They still have Hunter Henry. They paid all that money for Jonnu Smith. He was terrible last year. Mm-hmm. Another guy that bumped up so high in drafts that was terrible. So Devontae Parker in the 13th round, you can't hurt that. That's not a pick that's going to hurt you.
Terp. Oh no, Jonnu Smith. I beg your pardon. He did go in the 18th round tonight. Final question here for you before we sign off. If you were to grade your team that you drafted tonight, best possible scenario, this team is going right to the 200 grand. That's an A+ grade. And an F would be this team has zero chance of doing anything in this league. Where does this one rank for you? What
I would
grade
probably
would you
give it a solid B to a B+.
Okay.
I'm very fair with my drafts. If I think they suck, which plenty have sucked before, my main event last year was horrendous. After I was done, I literally banged my head against the wall 10 times. I would have gave it an F as soon as it was done. Like,
how did it end up doing?
It was awful. And I drafted Austin Eckler 3rd overall. Oh, I was on top of the world, but after that, it just fell right off a cliff.
Okay. All right.
But I would give it a B. I mean, do I wish I could take back the Wilson Burrow thing? Probably.
Well, let's do this. Let's say you switch the Kirk pick out for Joe Burrow. Then what grade do you give yourself?
B+. I don't think it's that far
it's still
off.
Roughly the same.
I'm not that far off because I love Daniel Jones this year. I think the Giants, maybe not from a team perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, like new coach, different ideas. Like that coach was so stale last year. They have a ton of talent. I'm a big Tony guy. You saw what he could do last year. You saw the upside. Daniel Jones brings the rushing upside. I think my floor with him and Zach Wilson, obviously Zach Wilson, you need to take the next step. And then Tannehill's there as a safe guy. I'm fine at quarterback. I think quarterbacks are just these guys who are double tapping like Burrow and Hurts. Yeah, that's cool. But you're also starting Stevenson. 7 running backs. Eno Benjamin. McKinnon's not a bad pick. Sony Michel. Well, what's Sony Michel going to do for you? I still can't get past this team. And I want to put this. This is on YouTube. This is on our page. You can cut this clip that if this guy wins the overall $200,000, and I don't know who he is. It could be somebody I know. I don't know. I will quit fantasy football forever. Because I don't see how this roster construction can get you to a league win, let alone a championship win. You have to be the 1%, maybe less than 1% to do it.
I think it's less than 1%. I think that's pretty safe to say that.
You need Stevenson. You need everybody in New England to get hurt. And Stevenson to be like the bell cow hero of that. That's it.
I'm not going to reveal who this is, but he is a pretty accomplished player. And I just got to verify. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had him on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, but he's played a ton in the FFPC.
Let me look, see if I know who he is. I didn't actually look.
He's won a bunch too. He's won a bunch of leagues. Football guys. I think he's won a couple of main events. He's definitely
his name's not familiar to me. I know some of these guys in the league. Like I recognize a lot. I'm not going to call them out because some people get mad when you do that.
Right? Yeah.
I know Lance doesn't care, and I'm sure the guy who won, 500,000,
no, probably not.
Care.
No.
I'm sure he's not really worried about it, but some of these other guys might get. I know him from Twitter. I know him that people that I've interacted with, but some people just don't want their information out there for whatever purposes.
Right. This is the first time I'm actually looking at who is in this league. And actually a lot of these guys have been on the show before. And a lot of these guys they're pretty accomplished. This is actually a pretty tough room. And
it definitely, but I knew when I was getting into this, when I signed up, when we put this out there,
right,
that when you put drafts that are going to be out there, that are going to be broadcast live on social media, YouTube, whatever it is, you're going to get bigger name or people that like to put their names out there because they want to go back here and be like, look at this idiot ripping me. Or look at how good my team went. Like, I won this league.
Right.
And that's why, like, in the future, we're going to do more of these. There's going to be plenty of other opportunities down the stretch as this and main events and stuff. I don't know if I'll ever do a main event live because that's a little bit more money. But these leagues, like, I'll be in a ton of these to where it's like, it's fun because you're going through here and I'm ripping on Lance's team. I'm ripping on, obviously, Team 5's team and a couple other teams that I've had comments about. But it's all fun and games. I mean, we're just here to have fun. Like, I don't mean anything, obviously, too crazy, except I don't know why the guy took Baker Mayfield. I'm just very annoyed about it.
Right, yeah.
And I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because of it, because if he gets traded to Carolina tomorrow, I'm going to be really upset. Really upset.
All right, Terp, I don't want you stewing about this all night, but we will sign off for right now. We'll probably do this again and broadcast.
Definitely soon.
But great job tonight, not only in the draft, but on co-hosting. You did a very good job. And we will talk. First of all, we all follow you on Twitter at Dave Terp. Make sure you're giving Terp a follow. I'm sure you're going to tweet about this league and this draft as we go forward. But we'll do this again soon. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good night.
Dave Terp, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Terpoilli, I should say. Full name, Dave Terpoilli, and at Dave Terp on Twitter. That is going to conclude our broadcast tonight of this $200,000 grand prize best ball tournament with the FFPC draft that we featured tonight. Over $1 million in the prize pool, just $125 to enter. As I said, we'll probably do this again, maybe a few times going forward. It's still mid-June, so we have the opportunity to maybe do this in the middle of the week going forward. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Talk to the powers that be. First time we ever did it, I think it was a success. Remember that the Football Guys early bird promo active for a $35 team discount. If you register by June 30th, that's only 8 days away, and draft by July 15th, you'll get a free FFPC $35 team into your account. We'll do that up to 3 times if you want. The Best Ball Tournament, which you just watched, you can participate in this tournament as well. MyFFPC.com is where to go for that. Grand prize doubled this year from where it was last year. If you're interested in a Superflex Best Ball Tournament, we have that going on for a $35 entry fee. You can win 10 grand. Dynasty Startups, closed 12-team Best Ball Classic Leagues also available. So make sure you're checking those out at MyFFPC.com. We'll be back on these airwaves on Friday at 10/9 Central. It'll be myself, KFFSC Commissioner Farrell Elliott, co-host with me, and we'll be talking with multiple Football Guys League winner Glenn Piopple. He'll discuss how his drafts have been going this summer in the Football Guys Players Championship as well. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will talk with you again Friday at 10/9 Central.